Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Games. Welcome back to their best bets video. This time for UFC 294, we have ourselves a massive pay-per-view at hand and one that I'm super excited to dive in for and talk about some betting, right? As always, I did my my best bets video or my DraftKings video, sorry, earlier in the week. 37 minutes should be timestamped, should be all good to go. Covered every single fight in detail here, but as I do every single week, we are going to break down my favorite bets of the week. Shorter video, more condensed, brought to you by CoolBet. Now, I myself, for some reason, am having technical difficulties and I can't bring the odds up to the screen. So they're on my phone. You can take my word for it. And if you don't believe that these lines are available, because there's some pretty good lines this week, check out the app for yourself. Should be down below as well. But let's pull up these odds right here. Now, this card, man, is massive. It's a very, very fun one that I'm very much looking forward to early in the morning. Make sure to check out your DraftKings lineups early in the morning. But betting-wise, man, very chalky. And it bodes well for the parlay of the week. Not so well for the money line because there are some tough things. So let's dive into it, though. Of course, Twitter is where I'll post my full card of bets probably in a couple hours. Should be out on my Twitter at GamblesGordo. Check out my full bets there. And if you're checking this video out after the fact, be sure to leave a comment down below. Ask me any questions you may have. Let's dive into this, man. It should be a fun one. First things first, our Chalky Parlay of the week, and there's many ways to go. I do like the fact that Dudikovic should win this fight a lot of the time, but I don't want to lay minus 600 on WMMA favorite, especially when she's so raw in this career. I do think that even, you know what, the two people in the third co-main event should win. I think Ankalaev, Chimaev, and Makhachev should all win this at a very, very high clip as well, but not when I want to go out there and parlay. Those fights are close in line and tails. So let's go with the first leg being Mr. Ikram Aliskerov, and keeping it short and sweet. I do think he hasn't covered everywhere. He is the A side being brought in, though, and even though it's a very chalky line, he's got a guy in front of him who, if he doesn't get that first round finish, can go out there and fade down the stretch, can be taken over, can be taken down. I do think Aliskerov has advantages wherever this fight goes. Now, the MMA math says, oh, wow, Aliskerov's only lost one fight. It was in that first round. Alves gets a lot of wins in these first round. If you're scared of it that way, play some Alves KO1, but I don't think that's a large win percentage. I do think Aliskerov's able to survive the early onslaught from Alves, piece him up on the feet a bit, and then take him down, which is his real bread and butter. Good cage control, good ability to go out there and to mount threatened submissions, and I do think he wins this fight at a high clip. He's number one. Number two, one of my favorite fighters this week to win is going to be Mr. Nathaniel Wood. Better line, much better line, minus 285 here on CoolBet. A guy who I just think wins this fight a lot of the time. Naimov is very, very tough, very powerful, but lacks a lot of technicality that Wood have. Wood is going to be a better technical fighter, better grappling, more volume on the feet, more ways of getting it done, better optics too. I do think he wins this fight a lot of the time. Now, the fear is the chin of Wood and the power of Naimov has. I'd still think that Wood's able to get it done. Again, if you're scared, hedge out of it by Naimov KO. That is Naimov's win condition because he doesn't defend strikes very well. He can be hit at a high clip. He can lose minutes, and I do think Wood wins the optics a lot of the time, making him the better minute winner and has more paths to get it done. I do think he wins this fight a lot of the time. The last leg is going to be the over in the Henry Boshrot fight, and you heard it right, in over. I'm not a big over guy, but we're going to play it nonetheless because I do think this fight goes to decision a lot of the time. I'm going to play the over 1.5, but over 2.5 is fine. Fight goes distance is fine because both these guys are guys who are very, very durable. Henry has never been finished or in any of his pro fights. Neither has Boshrot, actually. Neither of these guys have ever been finished. Boshrot is undefeated, so I'm not really going to count that too much in here, but is still someone who is very, very durable in his own right. Henry does absorb a lot of damage, but he brings a very, very heavy pace, and with that durability and cardio he has, he typically has the ability to go out there and try to break his opponents as the fight goes on because neither of these guys have too much one-shot power, but these guys are volume of war of attrition. And I do think that both these guys have the cardio and durability to go a full 15. And I do think this fight hits the judges' scorecards a lot of the time. If you were able to put together the over in the Boshrot fight, Wood and Aliskerov money line, you are getting plus 120 right now on CoolBet. Plus money play, Chalky Parlay, as always, trying to build the bankroll, but it's something I see happen a lot of the time. Those are my three legs I'm looking towards. If I have to play into the juice this week, that is going to be where I'm going. Moneyline wise, this is where it struggles, right? Because I don't like to give you guys chalky favorites here. I typically like to go for an underdog as my player straight money line of the week, but I'm not really like many underdogs this week. If you went back and you saw my full card breakdown, I actually didn't pick a single underdog to win outright. I think a lot of them have value, but gun to my head, I picked all favorites to win this fight. And to me, it comes down to one fighter who I think is the best line here. And my money line pick of the week, which is just hurting me to say because it is a very sketchy fighter to back at all here, is going to be Trevor Peek. Now, hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I know Trevor Peek lacks a lot of technicality. I'm pretty hard on the guy, but on CoolBet right now, if you guys don't believe me right here, minus 154. Still some value there. I still think he's someone who wins this fight more than the line entails. And yes, he has someone in front of him fighting in his home crowd, but I do think Trevor Peek is just the more resilient of the two fighters. And when I do the tape on Yaya, and he's not blowing me away with any ground game, he's not blowing me away with much technicality or volume either. But what I am seeing from him is someone who has been knocked out before, who has quit down the stretch, who has lost fights. I do think Peek is someone who's able to test that resiliency, put him to the test. And when someone is out there not being able to withstand the onslaught, the pressure, the volume in front of Peek usually melts them. And I think in this spot here, Peek is someone who is able to wear him out, find that chin, make Yaya want to quit, because we all know Peek is going to stay in there for as long as he can. He's a killer. Again, not the most technically sound, but if you do not have the heart or resiliency to survive what's coming at you from Peek, you're not going to fare too well. And I haven't seen that heart yet from Yaya. Maybe I'll see it this weekend, but until I do, I will lean towards Peek as my line of the week. Again, not my favorite play of them all, but considering how short we are for underdogs this week and how it's a very close line, I do think Peek is the way to go this week. Fun fight. I'm excited to see it go down. Looking forward to that one for sure. Prop of the week time. One of my favorite, let's say, lines of the week here. And it's a good line on both places, but even better line on CoolBet here as well. We are going to go with the fight doesn't go to decision in the Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubilee fight, minus 123. Again, very low level affair. I'm happy to see money coming in on Breeden because Jubilee should not be minus 400. But at the end of the day, I do think he wins this fight. I think Jubilee has the better wrestling. I think he has more finish equity compared to the guy in Breeden who has been finished early on in fights before. But it's a matchup where Jubilee has not faced any resistance, right? Fighting a very, very low level of competition in the regional scene where he didn't always wrestle. And then coming in and beating Jake Sergey, great job. He did that. He now gets someone who I think has gotten a bit of a tougher run in the UFC. Breeden, yes, he got melted in the first 10 seconds by McKinney and Hernandez. I think Jubilee would too here. So I'm giving him a bit more credit for that one. At the end of the day, though, I think it's pretty simple. I think Breeden's a guy who has questionable durability and can be knocked out. And along with the grappling and pressure and, let's say, ability to break people that Jubilee showed last time against Sergey, I think that this line should be lined a bit higher to finish inside the distance. Breeden as well has nothing to lose in this spot. His back's up against the wall. He's someone who, again, came in overweight. Maybe there's some issues health-wise as well, but he is someone who's going to go out there and try to redeem himself from an 0-4 record inside the UFC octagon. So to me, Breeden's got nothing to lose. He's going to go out there, swing with fighting intention. And against a guy in Jubilee who's never faced resistance, a finish is able to materialize on the Breeden side. However, if not, Jubilee's going to be the better wrestler. I think he's better technically with more range in the feet as well. And I do think a finish materializes more often than the minus 123 entails. I'm taking the under there as well. Let's give one more prop here. Maybe two. I'm feeling a bit generous being on live. I don't know. I kind of like being live in front of the camera here, breaking it out. Let's go with one fight you guys have, of course, really want to see money on and see what side I'm taking, and that's the co-main event. Chimaev versus Usman. We're taking the square side. We're taking the Chimaev inside the distance line. And I know it's not the prettiest things to say, but I want to see this, man. I want to see Chimaev go out there and cruise through Usman. It won't be, let's say, anything other than short of greatness, right? We've never seen Usman run through. I mean, he lost, 30 seconds in that first Edwards fight, and then he got pitter-patter from the outside. No one has been able to dominate Usman. No one has been able to take him down, really, aside from Edwards in that first fight. No one's been able to really bully him. And I think that a win condition for Chimaev in this matchup requires him to go out there, shoot forward, a ton of aggression, a ton of fun wrestling style that is going to not only look amazing for the optics, but one where I do think he's able to go out there and score a finish. If you look at his win condition here, it's probably going to be go out there and take advantage of an aging, short notice, up a weight class Usman, which I do think is a fun notion. You add in the fact that his knees have been in question, something popped, who knows. There is something that I think Chimaev has going for him. He is the hype side this week. He is the A side, in my opinion, in this matchup, the one that people are lining up to see. And I do think, although he's a very, very tall test ahead, I think he has the size and he has the wrestling, the grappling. And the one time we saw Usman on his back, he was controlled there the rest around by Leon Edwards. I do think Chimaev brings a new threat, and I'm cheering for that inside the distance line. Hence why I'm taking the Chimaev inside the distance line at minus 130 here on CoolBet. I got to go for it, man. I got to cheer for something in this co-main event, and I really just want to see this new wave, right? Think of all the possible fun fights we can see if Chimaev wins this fight. I think it's a very fun thing to cheer for, and I think he has the tools to get it done in that inside the distance line here. Last prop for us is going to be a long shot prop. Again, a very chalky line, so it's hard to really find one in particular that really jumps out too much. But let's give one that actually I don't think it should be this wide. And I think we are able to get some good value on that side of thing. Let me just make sure I can pick it up. Okay. All right. Let's go with Victoria Dudakova by submission. And again, not the prettiest play of them all, but in this matchup here, she's facing someone who is going to have not only a experience edge, but someone who's going to be way older and someone who doesn't really fare well on the ground. Junior Fraze at the tail end of her career, she has been finishing her most recent or 2 fights ago, and she's someone who I think is on a bit of a decline. And Dudakova was brought in here as the A side, the young fighter, undefeated Russian prospect who is going to look to take down this fight at all times. I do think once on the mat, Fraze able to open up these positions. Dudakova on tape doesn't look like the best overall finisher, but I do think she has this youth size advantage right up there and have some success in that regard. I do think plus 350 is a bit wider than the line entails. You have to pick one long shot prop. I do think that fight comes. I do think that bet comes through more often than not. I don't mind that way of getting a bit different on such a hefty favorite here, Dudakova at minus 500. But that's going to do it for me here on the best bets version of the 294 breakdown. Appreciate everybody for tuning in with me live. No questions yet, so which is cool, but I appreciate Daz checking in, Fight Talk, Frank, appreciate everybody hanging out here. I just want to run through my best bets. Again, my full card of bets will be posted on my Twitter in about an hour. So if you have any more questions, feel free to comment under there as well, or comment under this video. I just want to give out the content I can and talk to you guys about this cool bet app I've been using. So make sure to check it out in the description down below. But with that, guys, hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, show some love. I wish everyone the best of luck in all your DraftKings and betting endeavors this weekend. And with that, guys, let's make some money, guys. Peace.